Hey there, welcome to Proud Animator. In this video, we are going to learn the basics of UI animation in After Effects. So let's start. So here I have illustrated a UI in Adobe Illustrator and I have separated the layers in such a way that the elements that need to be moved independently, I have separated those of the elements in a separate layer, such as the cursor of course will move independently, so it's in a separate layer, and each of the elements of this menu option are in a separate layer, and the whole body elements of this web page is in a single layer because any of this part will not move independently. Likewise, there is another UI element that I have designed. Here this whole thing is in a separate layer, this one is also in a separate layer. Here is another drop down menu which will move independently, so it's in a separate layer. And here there are few images over here, so this is basically a shoe in flat style illustration, so this will move independently, so it's in a separate layer. So right now we are inside of After Effects and let's create a new composition window. Let's name it first. I'm going to give it 1920:1080 resolution and keeping it 30 frames per second. Perfect. And let's import the UI 1 and UI 2. Change this to composition within layer size and import the files. Perfect. So I'm going to put this UI1 on this timeline. Now I'm going to select all of this, just excluding the web background. Now I'm going to make it a pre-comp and name it web elements. Now let's copy this web background again and we are going to use it as a track matte, so let's name it matte and let's use that above file as an alpha matte. Perfect. Now we are going to apply some drop shadow in this particular layer, so let's do that. So I'm going to go on this effects and presets panel and type in drop shadow. Perfect. And I'm going to increase the softness and also going to decrease the opacity to 20%. Perfect. Now let's copy this effect and I'm going to apply this effect to few more layers in this web elements. So first of all, let's change the background color of this composition window so that we can see the drop shadow part properly. We are going to apply it on this shape as well, and here in all of these web elements we are going to apply it. Perfect. And even in the header as well. Perfect. And also in this drop down menu as well of this performance. Okay, so but for this one I'm going to decrease the softness because we don't want the shadow to spread this much. Perfect. Now again I'm going to just make it a pre-comp, this little menu option, and let's select all the layers and pre-comp. So we are not going to animate this now, so let's turn off the visibility for now. So like this you can even apply drop shadow to more elements of the web page, even for the UI2 as well. So let's do that and let's proceed with our animation process. Okay, so now we are all set for animation. Now let's animate our first click in the UI. So I'm going to select the cursor and bring in over here. This will be the initial position of the cursor. I'm going to open the position property and put a keyframe, and I'm going to jump on to next 40 frames and I'm going to bring this over this arrow of this performance. Let's curve this path a bit, and easy is it. Let's check our animation. I think we can slow it down a bit. Yeah, it's looking pretty nice. Now when the cursor is at this particular point, the performance text will start glowing. So this is the text highlight, so it will start glowing at this point. So I'm going to open the opacity and put a keyframe over here, and also I'm going to jump on to next 6 frame and give it another keyframe, but I'm going to keep the initial keyframe 0% of opacity, and let's easy is the keyframe. Let's turn off the highlight for now. Yup, it's looking pretty nice. Okay, now the mouse will be clicked. So for that, okay, let's bring it and put it over here only. Now I'm going to jump out to next 2 frame, and here we are going to click on this performance tab. So I'm going to open the scale, put a keyframe, and also put a keyframe on the position, and I'm going to jump on to next 5 frame, and I'm going to decrease the scale a bit to around 75%, and I'm going to move this above like this, so that to adjust the position. And by the way, if you face something like this in your position, this is some After Effects glitch, so you can simply separate the dimension and easy is it, so it will be fixed. So at this point it will be scaled down. Again, jump on to next 4 frames, all the values will be same at this point, and jump on to next 5 frames again, and I'm going to copy the initial keyframe and paste it over here. Yep, it's looking pretty nice. So at this point this arrow will be highlighted, so I'm going to open the opacity, put a keyframe. At this point it will be 100%, but at this point, at the initial keyframe, it will be 0% of opacity. Same value will be at this point, and at this point it will be again be at 0% of opacity. So let's check it. Yep, it's looking pretty nice. So when it clicks, this drop down menu will just open up. I'm also going to apply a track matte for this drop down menu, so that it will come down like this in the Y axis. So I'm going to add a shape over here. Let's name it drop down track matte. I'm going to pull this and put it above the drop down menu, and use this layer as an alpha inverted matte, not an alpha matte. So when it will click, this drop down menu will open up. So I'm going to open the position property, and let's separate the dimension. We are going to only work with Y axis. So I'm going to jump on to next 15 frames and put a keyframe. At this point I'm going to pull it above, and let's add some overshoot to it. So at this point it will just slightly come down and then again go back. Yep, it's perfect. And I'm going to parent this highlight with this drop down. Okay, so after that the cursor will come down and select on this performance matrix. So I'm going to just put the same keyframes so on position, scale and everything, and jump on to next 15 frames and pull it down. Yep, perfect. So again jump on to next 2 frame, and here there will be our next click. We can simply copy this scale values. Perfect. So when it is coming down, this highlight will be at this particular text before the cursor comes on to the performance matrix. So at this point this highlight will be over here. So after that, at this point it will be at this position. So I'm just splitting the layer over here. This one is at this position, but after that it will be at this position. To split the layer, the shortcut is Ctrl plus Shift plus D, and again let's split the layer, and at this point it will be at this particular position. So let's check our animation. Yep, it's looking pretty nice. So here it will be clicked. So at this position, this drop down menu will again go back upwards. So at this point I'm going to decrease the opacity of this highlight. Let's open up the opacity and put a keyframe and jump on to next 5 frames. At this point let's give it 0% of opacity, and let's check our animation. Yep, it's looking pretty nice. And right now we are going to animate the web page. So here the transition will happen. Now we are going to bring in the next web page. So we are going to bring in this UI2 over here and put it below this web elements. So this one will be replaced by this one. Perfect. Now when it's clicking at this point, it will just the transition will happen. So I'm going to open the opacity, put a keyframe, open the position and put a keyframe, and I'm going to jump on to next 20 frames, and I'm going to pull it above and give it 0% of opacity and select it and give it as is. And at this point I'm going to open the position of this UI2, put a keyframe and put a keyframe on the opacity as well. Now we are going to jump on to next 20 frames and let's bring it down and give it 0. But this time let's reverse the keyframe by going on to keyframe assistant and time reverse keyframes, and let's select the keyframes and erase it. So let's check our animation. Yep, it's looking pretty nice. So over here, when this web page appears, we are going to click on this total tab, and let's click on this total tab. So I'm going to put the same keyframes over here and let's jump on to next 20 frames, and right now we are going to bring this to this total tab and jump on to next 2 frames, and let's just copy the scale to add a click. So this time we need to also fix the position of this cursor during the time of click. So let's check it. So at this, when it is clicking, the this tab will be highlighted. So I'm going to open the UI 2 right now. So at this point this tab to highlight will appear. So I'm going to open the position. I'm going to open the opacity and put a keyframe and jump on to next 6 frame and put a keyframe. And I'm going to give the initial opacity 0%. And let's easy ease it. So let's check our animation. So at this point this drop down menu will pop up. So I'm going to first of all move this to move the anchor point to somewhere around over here and open the scale property, put a keyframe, and I'm going to jump on to next 10 frames and I'm going to decrease its scale, and also I'm going to add an opacity to it. At this point let's give it 0 degree of opacity and let's easy ease it and reverse the keyframe order. We can even add some overshoot to it. So I'm going to jump on to next 5 frame and put a keyframe. At this point slightly increase the scale a bit. Yeah, the overshoot made the animation look even better. So let's check our animation from this window. Yep, it's looking pretty nice. Okay, now here is our last part of the animation where we are going to see the images of this product of the day. So this is basically a dashboard of a seller, and this is the product of the day. Here is a flat style shoe that I have designed in Illustrator. So let's just pre-comp this product of the day first of all. So I'm going to select all of this. Let's check it out. Let's pre-comp it. Perfect. And I'm going to put the anchor point over here. And let's open, and I'm going to copy this product of the day layer and paste it over here again, because we are going to use it as an alpha matte. Okay, now we are going to animate the product of the day tab. So I'm going to move the shoe and put it over here. So the mouse will click on this arrow and the image will slide one after the another. Okay, so let's jump on to, so after it clicks over here, slightly wait for a few frames and then again it will jump on to, let's jump on to next 20 frames and pull the cursor and put it on this arrow. And after that, after 2 frames it will start clicking. And then here another one. Let's check our animation. Well, we can slow this animation a bit. Okay, now when it's clicking, this is a click effect. So this is an highlight of a click. So I'm going to open the opacity and put a keyframe over here, and at this point it will have the opacity of 100%, this click highlight, and but at this point it will not be visible. So again at this point it will be at the same 100% of opacity, and at this point it will be at its initial keyframe, so which is 0% of opacity. So let's ease the keyframes. So let's check our animation. Yep, it's looking pretty nice, and we are going to again copy this and paste it over here. Perfect. Now another thing, so when you can see it in lots of catalogs that are available in e-commerce websites. So when it is in the end of this list, the arrow turns into gray, and after that if you can just go backwards, the arrow turns into blue. So like this, we are going to use this concept over here as well. So again, when it is clicking, there is an option of going backwards, so this arrow will turn into blue. Okay, and after this click, this arrow will turn into gray, because there is only 3 images, so it will be at the end of this list, so there is no option of going forward. So here is the blue forward, so I'm going to open the opacity and put a keyframe over here, jump out to next 5 frame and put a keyframe over here and give it 0% of opacity. Let's check our animation. Yeah, it's looking pretty nice. Now let's animate the image. So I'm going to open the position, and at this point I'm going to put a keyframe on the position. Let's delete it. So I'm going to pull it and put it outside this card, and at the same time this shoe 2 will be on this card. So at this point let's bring shoe 2 and put it over here. Perfect. And after this click, I'm going to put a position over here and open the position property, put a keyframe on the shoot 3 and again jump on to next 10 frame, and at this point I'm going to pull this outside and pull this in. So if we check it from this view, so let's check our animation. Yep, it's looking pretty nice. Okay, now it's time to animate this circle over here. So let's jump on to product of the day, and at this point when the image is sliding, this point the circle size will also change. So let's bring in a ruler and put a ruler over here and over here so that we can properly keep in track of the scale. Perfect. And open the scale property, and I'm going to decrease the scale. Perfect. And at the same time I'm going to increase the scale or the size of this circle as well. So open the scale, put a keyframe on scale. Perfect. And at this point it will again just this size will increase and this dot size will decrease. So open the scale property of this dot, put a keyframe on scale, and we can copy the scale of this value because both of these initial scale values are same, so we can copy the value of this scale and put it over here. Perfect. Let's check our animation. Yep, it's looking pretty nice. Here only one thing is left, this drop down menu. So let's close these tabs, and the only thing that left is to work with this drop down menu. Now after clicking over here, let's jump on to next 20 frames, or let's decrease it. So at this, till this point, it will be, the cursor will be at rest, and I'm going to jump on to next 20 frames again, and I'm going to pull this cursor and put it over here at this point. So after 2 frames, the cursor will again click. Now you might have seen in lots of websites this menu options, this 3 dash turns into cross, so we are going to do it like this as well. So first of all, select this dash and convert it into shape vector layer. Perfect. So at this point it's clicking, and at this point it will start transforming. So open the rotation property and open the position property. Same with this one. Jump on to next 6 frames, and I'm going to rotate it 45 degrees, and this one, well, not this one, this dash 1. So I'm going to open the rotation and again put a keyframe. Here it will be minus 45. Let's bring in at the center. Same with this one. Perfect. And for this one, we are going to animate the path of this shape. So open the contents group and put a keyframe on path, and we are going to decrease the length like this, and let's put this easy as the keyframes. Yep, it's looking pretty nice. So at this point, this whole circle behind will pop up, so I'm going to parent it, and let's open the scale and put a keyframe, and let's jump on to next 12 frames, and let's decrease it, but I'm going to just reverse the keyframe order and also add some overshoot. Yep, it's looking pretty nice. So at this point, again the cursor will click on home, and we will get back to our initial web page. So here let's add the click. So this is the highlight, and let's open the opacity and put a keyframe, and after that again I'm going to jump onto this and just give it 0% of opacity, and I'm going to reverse the keyframe order. At this point keep it 100%, and at this point it will be at 0% of opacity. So here it's clicking, and this will again go back down. This whole thing will again scale down after the click. So we can copy this scale property and reverse the keyframe order. And also we are going to copy these properties and reverse the keyframe order. Let's check out. And at this point again the web page transition will happen. So I'm going to copy this and put it over here, again copy this and put it over here, and I'm going to reverse the keyframe order. But this time I'm going to delay the web element 1. Perfect. Let's check our animation from this window. Perfect. So like this you can animate a UI in After Effects, and I am also thinking about making a lot more tutorials on how to animate UI and different type of UIs, even app demos and website demos as well. Do let me know in the comment section below if you are interested in learning this kind of stuffs, and do try it on your own and let me know if you have any doubt regarding the lesson. And that is it for this lesson. So hope you liked it. If you liked it, then make sure to hit the like button. If you have any doubt regarding the lesson, make sure to comment down below. I will be happy to help you out. And if you are here for the first time, make sure to subscribe the channel and hit the bell notification button to stay notified for all the future updates. Until then, goodbye.